Welcome to First Take. I'm Roz Goldon-Woode, filling in for Molly Karam, and I'm here with Stephen A. Max, what's up, guys?
Going on?
Happy day before Thanksgiving.
That's right. Stephen F. Austin wins a big game they're supposed to lose. Maybe you could win a debate today. Stephen A. Smith wins a debate. To be the bigger Stephen letter.
It's Thanksgiving. It's a time for giving. Let him go ahead and believe what the hell he wants. It's okay.
Well, you started it off, Max, so I'll get to the upset, okay? Because there's no better way to start a day than with a good old-fashioned college hoops upset. Last night, Duke, the number one team in the nation, was wildly upset by Stephen F., not Stephen A., Austin, at home. In overtime, it was Duke's first non-conference loss on their home court since 2000. Now, guys, can we just simply say it's early, no biggie? Or, Max, does Coach K have something to prove?
Yeah, Coach K has something to prove. I mean, both things you just said are true, but the thing I take away, of course he has something to prove. Not that he's not everyone knows he's a great coach. I'm not talking about that. This is not just another great coach. This is the gold standard. Stephen A., who's the greatest coach in the history of college basketball?
Mike Krzyzewski.
Right. It's Wooden or Krzyzewski, right? I mean, like, Krzyzewski in the modern game has won in, like, things were different then, right? But we're talking about, you know, the greatest coach ever with UCLA and everything. But in Duke, in modern basketball, it's really, really, really hard to do what he's done. You know, like, you think about the great coaches or the greatest coaches of this era, at least, Krzyzewski is right there. So we're not just talking about one of the contenders for the top spot. Of course he has something to prove. All the time, Stephen A., like Nick Saban, has something to prove. Not that he's necessarily slipping, but all of a sudden, there's another coach winning as much as him and against him, and Dabo Swinney. All of a sudden, he's getting the brakes beat off him in the national title game. He's getting upset at home by LSU. Like, all of a sudden, does Saban have something to prove? Well, yeah, not that he's not we know he's great, but is he still number one? Is Krzyzewski the best coach in college basketball still? Are we sure about that? I don't know about that. I know Jay Wright he at least won a game with he lost most of his players and won a game, and before that won 2 of the last 3 national titles. I don't know that Krzyzewski's still the best coach in college basketball, Stephen A.
Well, listen, you could say that. I would tell you this. Tell me that Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K, has something to prove because they haven't won an NCAA championship since 2015. Okay, I understand. Considering the multitude of All-Americans that you've had at your disposal. I understand that. Outside of that, I don't want to hear that, especially not based off of last night's game. It's college basketball. It's a game in November. It's early in the season, okay? It's not the NCAA tournament. It's not one and done. It's going to have little to no effect on their season whatsoever. And not only that, particularly when it comes to kids, I would remind you that a guy by the name of Cam Reddish came on this show and confessed on national television. One of the biggest reasons that he had a problem last year was because he was busy eating pizza all the time, eating pizza and burgers and all of this other stuff. They're not worried about it. Is entirely plausible that the same team that beat Kansas to start the season, the same team that had just beat Georgetown and others, she sees Stephen F. Austin on the schedule.
By the way, that wasn't must-watch TV. I didn't sit down and watch that game live or anything like that. And when I saw it come across, I thought they were talking about you at first. I thought, what, Stephen A. Smith said something about Duke?
That's right.
We're going to have to talk about this on the show tomorrow.
Right, exactly.
Stephen F. Austin.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. I mean, come on. You're taking it for granted. You know, it's entirely plausible, particularly basketball season. It's not football. Football, you only got about 12, 13 games during the college football season, particularly when you're a nationally ranked team. This could cost you, particularly when you got the playoff system to take into consideration where only 4 teams going to be picked. You got to take that into consideration. But with March Madness, the ACC competition, North Carolina up the road having the crew that it has, all of this other stuff, Stephen F. Austin, right before Thanksgiving.
Are you seeing cracks in the Krzyzewski wall?
No.
I'm seeing little. Is that a crack right there?
No. If that's the case, they'd be a national champion right now.
Well, while it certainly doesn't mean panic for Duke, let's make sure we give Stephen F. Austin their proper credit for pulling off an amazing upset.
Yep. They did.
Absolutely.
Good job, Stephen. Oh, Stephen F. Austin.
It's the kids.
Stephen F.
It's about the kids.
Okay.
We want to give the kids congratulations to Stephen F. Austin.
This was a huge deal.
You deserve it. Just don't expect me to lose any sleep over Duke losing a game in November.
Okay, well then, are you losing sleep over Luka and the Mavs? Because as we move on, fans were pumped up for what was sold as a primetime matchup between Kawhi and PG's Clippers and Luka and his Mavs. But what we got last night was something kind of anticlimactic. The Mavs were exposed as not quite ready, not having enough offense outside of Luka, and they were held to just 38% shooting by a stingy Clippers defense. So, Stephen A., specifically for you, what did you learn about Luka last night?
I learned that he needs help, particularly when going against elite teams, and he doesn't have much of it right now in the form of Kristaps Porzingis, who's obviously coming off his nasty injury from a couple of years ago, his nasty knee injury a couple of years ago when he was contaminated by the New York Knicks, and then obviously got traded to the New York Knicks before the trading deadline last year. And this season, I'm looking at him right now. He's averaging 18 a game. He's only shooting 41% from the field, even though a respectable 37% from three-point range. And that 41% was an improvement from days ago. And this is what I would caution you, Max, to think about. When we're talking about Porzingis, remember, as much as we raved about the unicorn, you can't teach 7-3. He can block shots. He defends. He can certainly hit the perimeter shot. Let's keep in mind that he's no longer in the Eastern Conference. He's in a Western Conference where you got a whole bunch of cats that are coming at him. Luka Doncic is a man amongst boys coming into last night's game. Everybody's been talking about he's the rave. He's top 3, particularly after his performance against Houston and James Harden the other night. He's top 3 in the league MVP conversation thus far. And what did the Clippers do? They are waiting for this brother. And you got Patrick Beverley and you got Harold, not to mention George and Kawhi Leonard. And they reminded everybody, as you would say, defense is a part of all of this. It's real, real nice to you to look pretty against everybody else. We ain't having it. And so he shoots 4 of 14 from the field, somewhere around there. And of course, that leads you to lean on Porzingis a little. He is in a different league. And obviously, with Doncic being that dude, it might be a beautiful, beautiful thing to see in terms of the combo that they can be. But you are playing against grown men who wanted a piece of Doncic. And it was your job to help him. And you could only do but so much. What did Porzingis shoot? 4-13 from the field. Relatively pedestrian performance. And I wasn't surprised.
Kristaps Porzingis still has a chance to one day be the best player in the world. The basket and bomb threes. This is the nucleus, this Dallas team, of a championship team if Porzingis stays healthy. Let me say this. The Clippers are a special defensive team. When we talk about Kawhi and Paul George and Patrick Beverley and these guys, it's not just that they're great on-ball defenders. They're not like instinctive defenders the way like Dennis Rodman was or Lawrence Taylor or Troy Polamalu. One of these guys you watch in their sport, you go, oh my God, they have like a radar. They're not those kind of guys. These are like the football equivalent would be like gap discipline guys. These are guys who are real defenders who can not only defend on the ball, but in a team concept. And you saw them funneling, Doncic to the big, to Zubac, and that was working. The Clippers are going to win the championship this year because of that. Doc Rivers, a Hall of Fame head coach, defensive players everywhere you see, everywhere you look, 2 MVP caliber players, and the best player in the world who's also the best in crunch time, Kawhi Leonard. I don't hold that against this baby Mavericks team.
Well, first of all, a couple of things. Number one, I haven't given up on the Lakers winning the championship just yet, and they happen to have the best record in basketball. Just thought I'd point that out. And number two, I want to be very, very clear about what I'm saying. At no time will Kristaps Porzingis, and I like him, and I love me some Rick Carlisle, and Luka Doncic is the man. At no time will Kristaps Porzingis ever be the best player in basketball.
You better hope he doesn't stay healthy for that prediction to come
Ever.
True. We'll see.
All right,
Ever.
Guys. All right, guys, we got to go to break on this. More to come on First Take. Everyone was anticipating the Browns-Steelers rematch after this melee, but what move was made that takes